when we really look at it for just the basics, all we're doing is helping create a solution. We're problem solvers, right? And so what I've noticed in working here, or just working in call centers all in all for as long as I have, is a lot of it has to do with tonality, right? Because they don't get to see us in person. And because they don't get to see us in person, they're going to judge us based on everything from the sound of the voice, the words that we use, the questions that we ask. And so myself, if you don't know, I'm pretty much an introverted person. Like, I'm not really out there unless it's something that I really want or I like, right? I'm not really walking around to the team, hey, what'd you do this weekend? You know, that's just not me. And I accept that, and that's fine. Where it may not necessarily be you to be that way also with prospects and clients. However, if we understand that we are in full control of the engagement, where they don't know who you are, right? They don't know that you're new. They don't know that you used to use Point and now you're using Encompass, right? Yeah. But what hasn't changed is the overall sales conversation. So that will always remain true. It'll always be that way. It'll always be credit, capacity, income, and title, right? Those are basically the four pillars of whether or not they can get a loan. And so now if we look past that, it's just about, like what you said about building rapport. I believe rapport goes beyond getting a long drawn out conversation. You can actually be more effective and get more rapport by figuring out what makes that person tick, right? So like, for example, us as loan officers, what makes us tick is commission, right? Because we're not here for the base salary. We're not here for the hourly, right? What makes us tick are tier bonuses. What makes us tick is acknowledgement of knowing that we're the number one, right? And so you're fortunate because you're part of the number one team, like literally in the entire division. And so some can look at that as kind of intimidating and like, oh shit, you know, I'm surrounded by these guys, man, these guys are killers. And sometimes fold in because it's a lot to live up to. And so I've seen agents come on the team and quickly they've kind of faded away. They've gone away because it's too much. It's how can I put it? It's like the word I'm looking for. It's almost like playing on a professional team when you haven't played a professional ball game yet, right? So it's almost like, oh, I don't want to make the wrong move, so I'm not necessarily going to put myself out there. And are people looking at me and judging me? And so I want you to know that the team, if you haven't already noticed, they're very supportive, right? They'll accept you as if they've been your family. They're not cocky. And I'm proud to say that because they have all the reason in the world to be cocky. But when you look at someone like KG, and he's literally the number one loan officer in the company, right? When you look at him and then you see his attitude and you ask him a question, he's more than willing to help you out. It's really cool. And so I think you got a taste of that because those are your available resources now, right? And so now it's just a matter of saying, okay, well, if I'm sitting next to him, what can I take from him? And what you could take from him, what you could take from Mo, what you could take from other top players on the team. I know you can't hear Sakati, but he's the way he talks, I can hear him. And what they do is they control and guide the conversation through the way they talk, right? And so you'll hear from Monique also. The way she talks is, yeah, watch, come on. Like it's like, I always refer to it as kind of like a tour guide, because a tour guide talks to you as if like, yeah, watch, let me show you. Right? Like there's this tonality and almost confidence because you know where you're going. But if you let it hinder you, where you're to the point where you're thinking in your head like, oh no, am I doing this right? It will actually affect your tonality and your delivery because you're worried if you're doing it right or you're missing something. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I want to bring that up because what I've noticed is, like I'm Catholic, and you know this is not a religious call, right? But what I'm saying is that my auntie, she was very Catholic. She used to bring me to church when I was really young, right? And I remember, like, you know, when I was a little kid, I would always ask to stay up and watch TV with her. And this is so far off the wall. And I remember I would be watching TV, we'd be watching like the Benny Hill show. You remember that?
Right.
Yeah, really old show, right? But I used to love it because I was up late and, you know, I'd be sitting on the bed and then I would hear this. And what she was doing was she was praying, right? But I could hear her and I'm like, what? I would turn around, right? And why I bring that up is because you reminded me of her. Yeah, because when you're on the phone, that's what I hear. It's like, oh my gosh, I thought you were praying. And I'm not saying it in a bad way, because not everyone's going to talk like the way we are, because we're already comfortable. But I want you to understand that as a third party looking in, I think, me personally, that if you can take control of that, you will dramatically change your results. And I'm not saying you have to be like Tony Robbins or, you know, like a stage speaker. You don't have to be like that. What I'm saying is, if there can be an emotional relayance, I don't even know if that's a word, but an emotional transfer, because sales is the ability to transfer an emotion, right? And so if you're excited and confident about what's in store for that person, it will come out in your tone. It will come out in the volume of your tone, right? And whether it's warming up, you know, and kind of just being comfortable, or even if it's a matter of relocation, because maybe the aisle is intimidating, or just kind of being on that floor where there's a lot of people. Whereas if you go back by like where Puyan was, it was kind of a little bit secluded, right? So you can, but then again, you're still getting traffic. So I think it comes down to that. That would be one huge thing. Because with your experience, I think you already know the ingredients it takes to make a loan, right? So I'd like to hear, if you don't mind, kind of what your opening line is for an inbound call, and then we're going to talk about how you end the first call and then start the pitch. I think those three areas I can help you tweak, and you will actually see the results a little bit more favorably. Okay.
Also, always when call comes in, I greet the customer, right? Sure. So I know that first few 20 seconds or so on the phone.
So let's say you get transferred to me, right? So the CSR says, it says, hey, I have Daniel on the phone. He's an inbound call, right? So now I'm actually calling in. Go ahead.
Well, hi, Daniel. This is Wesley. I am a loan agent here. How can I assist you?
You know what? I saw an advertisement, and I was just actually looking for the lowest rate. What's your rate?
Well, Daniel, let me first. Maybe would you like to write my contact information?
You know what? I'm driving.
Are you driving? Okay, that's fine. Just don't want you to distract. But tell me a little bit about what you're trying to achieve.
Really, just looking for the lowest rate. I don't want to pay any points. I don't want to pay costs. I've got perfect credit, and I have a 3.625 rate right now. What's your rate?
Well, we are. Have you done business with us before?
No, I have not.
No, so I can tell you a little bit how we do business and who we are, so we may be a little bit more comfortable with us.
I don't really have any time for that. What is your rate?
Well, we are low price leader. We offer the best possible rate for any program. Are you looking for conventional financing? What type of mortgage do you have?
I just want one with the lowest rate.
Okay, but would you like to? What's your goal with your loan? Are you trying to refinance or purchase the home? We have different programs, and sometimes the rate is not something that will be beneficial to every customer.
Okay. So if you don't mind, okay?
Yeah.
Now I gave you a copy of my script, right? Have you had a chance to read it?
Which one was that?
My sales script.
Did you give me?
Yeah, the one I printed out for you. It's the inbound sales script. Okay, if not, I'm gonna make sure I give you a copy, okay?
I have it somewhere there.
Okay.
It was printed?
Yeah. So it's printed out. So there's a bunch of pages. But I'm gonna make sure I get.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, I have it. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you tried it?
I have on my desk. I have to read it.
Okay. All right. So that script is effective because it allows you to drive the conversation. Now, one thing that you asked me was, do you want to purchase? Do you want to refinance? Would you like to take my cell phone number down or my contact info down? Right there, you're giving control of the conversation back to them by asking them a question. It's almost like saying, "How are you today?" to them. You're giving too much control even there, right?
Right.
Even saying, "What's your goal?" In my opinion, I think that's taboo. Because the way the script is, and please do read it, okay? Because it's helped so many. Monique uses it, Anthony uses it. Like, it's being used by a lot of the agents on this floor. And how it sounds is, hey Wesley, thanks for holding. The reason why you're being transferred to me is because I'm authorized to provide you with the information you need. But before I begin, let me just ask a few basic questions first to make sure I can even complete this call. If I can, I'm gonna email you all the details that you need to know, but if I can't, I'm gonna save you a ton of time and I'm gonna point you in the right direction. Now, the property that we're gonna talk about on Myford, this is where you live, right? Yes, got it. And on your credit report, besides the mortgage, what other debts are there? Right? Did you see how fast we went straight into the bones of it? My conversations, I never brand NAF unless I need to, right? Because if I took 10 minutes or 3 minutes or 1 minute to brand my company to someone who can't even complete the call or no application, I'm burning time. Not only that, but I'm also planting a seed in this person's head that they're about to be sold, that it's a presentation, it's a sales pitch. Now, I know that the norm and the traditional way of doing things are saying, hey, grab a pen and paper, let me give you my contact info. But that script was written by someone who doesn't sell. Make sense? It's written by someone who, when was the last time they did an application? It's true, right? And then that whole point of, even like some parts of the gates of the sale, like brand NAF, like 2 minutes in, why? What if this person doesn't qualify? What if this person has a 503 FICO? I'm burning my time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so our time is valuable, and we have to acknowledge that their time is valuable as well. And so asking questions like, hey, would you like to write down my contact info? We have to present it in a different way. Like, I'll give you my information if necessary, but let me make sure I can even move forward first. And now it's a win-win. Now it's like, cool, because I don't want your fucking number anyway, right? So I don't want your number anyway, bro. I'm just looking for the lowest rate. And so we do get oftentimes hit with that objection because we let it happen. And so if we say, how can I help you today? What else are they going to say? Because they're not an MLS license, right? So they're not going to tell you, oh, well, I have an FHA, a mortgage insurance, and my combined effective rate is 4.9%. They're not going to tell you that, right? They're going to just say, I want a lower rate, I got 3.5. But all we know, they could have an FHA, which means they have north of 4.25%, right? So instead, if we take control of the conversation right from the very beginning and we drive it right to the meat of the conversation, which is going to be their pain, then we have more leverage and control to bring them closer. Does that make sense? Yeah. So please try and read the script, okay? And then when you end your first conversation, let's say after you get the social security number, so I just gave you my social and I'm talking to you on the phone, right? Do what you normally do to set up the next call. So my SSN number is blank, 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 blank. Go ahead. What do you say?
Oh, after taking social security number?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me review this long. Let me run the numbers, and I'll be calling you. How about in 60 minutes?
Sounds good.
All right, then let me work on the loan proposal for you, and I will call you as soon as I have that approval, or I will know a little bit more about what we can offer for you.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you in 60 minutes.
All right.
Okay, and then tell me how you start the sales pitch.
After that?
Yeah, so this 60 minutes has passed by, you're calling me back. This is Daniel.
Oh, Daniel, hi, this is Wesley.
Hey.
I have actually good news for you. So we You have good credit. Everything looks good. We run your application through the approval process, and actually we can lower your interest rate by half a percentage point. This will save you about $70 a month. And in order to move forward, I will need some documentation from you. I can, if you have pen and paper, I can tell you what you need to, what we will need.
So what's the interest rate?
So interest rate is going to be 4.25. You have 4.75.
I was hoping to get in the threes.
But you know that the rates are, the market is not there.
How much is it going to cost?
Well, with this program, we can actually waive the fees, so there'll be nothing out of the pocket. There will be no lender's fees. We're just doing this as a to meet the guidelines for FHA financing.
Okay.
To meet the net tangible benefit, it allows us to minimum lower your score, your credit, your loan amount by 50 basis points, half a point. That's what I was able to do, and you'll be saving, like I said, about $70 a month. How does it sound?
Well, I was hoping to save at least $100. So 4.375. You can't get any lower than that, huh?
Actually, without any closing costs, I can. We do. You can also have a little lower interest rate, but then there are fees involved.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and think about it, and then I'll call you back if I decide to move forward.
Well, let me ask you, Daniel. Is there anything that I didn't explain to you? Do you have any more questions?
No.
Is that $70 not enough for you?
No, I was really hoping to save about $100.
Well, let's do this. I mean, we can offer you. Let's say we could offer you lower interest rate, right? But then you have to pay closing costs. You will have to pay fees for that.
I don't want to pay closing costs. It's okay. You know what? I just got a flyer in the mail, and it said I can get like 3.75% no cost. I think I'm just going to go ahead and call them.
Well, you can try to. All the lenders advertise their lowest possible interest rate. You can go and check with them and see if they actually can offer you that. We also have that rate. We don't advertise that rate because this rate comes with loads of fees and points. So if you want 3.75, actually look for.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I know it's kind of weird because I got like this gear up, and then I'm the fucking manager, and we never really actually sat together, right? So I know it's kind of throwing you out of your element, right? And I know for sure you sound completely different over the phone, but my goal here was just to understand your word tracking. That's it. So it's not really a matter of seeing if it was perfect. I just want to know your choice of words, because the choice of words is so powerful, because that's how they judge us, and that's the only thing they can hear. And when they're hearing, they're listening everything from tonality to the choice of words to the rhythm of your voice, right? And wordplay is very, very important. So let's go back to the way you transition to the second call. So if you say, I'm going to call you in 60 minutes, you're forcing the time, which is good, because most agents say, well, what time can I call you back next? And the issue with that is, number one is in 60 minutes, we don't know if the spouse will be available, right? More than likely, there's another decision maker that has to be involved. So if I pitch him in 60 minutes and he has on break at work, he has distractions of work, and he also then has to regurgitate the information to his spouse because the spouse wasn't there, right? So keep that in mind. Number two is when you lead up to the second call, the second call, by the end of the first call, the prospect needs to think that all you're going to do is put the disclosures together. And they must think that what they get is what they get, right? Because during the conversation, we're explaining that we are a direct conduit to the source. We're a direct plug. And so, like you said it in so many words, like we're a low-cost leader. What we are is we're just basically a direct servicer. So in other words, they're not paying for Uber to get to us because they're already here already. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's no broker points, there's no broker fees or anything like that. Does that make sense? So at the end of the very first call, what I found effective is saying, okay, I'm going to go and put the information together and I'm going to email it to you. If I run into any hiccups, I'll give you a call first. But during the conversation, I already figured out when the other party will be at home or when the other party will be available. I didn't ask them. It's like, hey, when I have the options ready, when is your spouse going to be available? I just figured that out covertly. So I used I blame consent. Like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and prepare all the information, send it to your email. I'll need your wife's consent as well so I can send it digitally so I don't have to mail it to your house. You can actually see it tonight. When will your wife be available to consent? Well, she's not going to be home until about 6. Okay, got it. Now I know 6 o'clock. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Very, very important. So at the end of the first call, it sounds very much like this. Okay, Wesley, I'm going to go and put the information together. Once I have it ready, I'll send it over by email. And if I run into any hiccups, I'll just give you a call, okay? And that's it. Now the prospect is not set on guard to enter into, Daniel's going to pitch me in 60 minutes. Let me be on guard, right? Instead, I'm saying, okay, now that I know I'm going to call you at 6, I'm going to call them at 6 because I already know when they're both going to be available. And since I'm calling them because I have a hiccup, that is the pitch. That makes sense? So the hiccup sounds something like this. This is how the second call sounds. Hey, Wesley, I was putting the information together and I found something. I want to run it by you real quick. I want to get your feedback first before I send it out. I'm going to loop in your wife, okay? And I already know she's available because she's available at 6. So I'm conference calling the wife. Now I got them both on the phone. Hey, Mrs. Wesley. Hey, I had a chance to talk with your husband earlier today. And I was just sharing with him, I'm putting the information together to send out to your email right now so you can see it. But I found something and I wanted your feedback too because you also understand the numbers in the household. And so what I found, and this is where you frame the call. You don't go into the pitch first, right? Why? Is because hours or 2 hours or 3 hours have gone by where they don't even remember the conversation that they had with you. So everything could have happened from fires to messages, alerts, family situations, right? And if I get a call and I move right into a pitch, I'm not going to be emotionally invested anymore, right? There's no emotion there. And so it's very important to frame them to where you get them back into that emotional state. Now that you have the spouse there, she's going to hear things that are true, and that builds bond, not 30, 45 minutes on the call with them. It's like, oh, hey, Daniel knows us. Wow, Daniel knows everything about it. He knows what we need. He knows what the issues are. He knows what the problems are. And it sounds something like this. Hey, Wesley, I was looking at the credit report, and I noticed a common comment from Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. And basically what they're saying is, and you hear my tonality, right? It's not a pitch. It's just, hey, I found something. They're all saying that the revolving debt balance to credit limit ratio is too high. And so I noticed that all three of them were commenting that, and that ultimately drives your score. And what they're talking about, Wesley, is they're talking about this Visa, this MasterCard, you got a Barclays. All of them are above 30% of its max credit. So I got a question for you. On this Visa, how much do you send per month? And then they would say, I think we send about 100, 200. Okay, Mrs. Wesley, is that right? About 200? No, we're trying to pay that off. We send 250. Okay, got it, 250. What about this Barclays? Oh, we send 300 on that one. That has a high interest rate. But the credit report says 25, 30, right? But I'm making note of what they send. And then after I get that, okay, cool. So besides that, what I did was I took in consideration all the information you shared with me in our first conversation, Wesley. You had mentioned that your net income is 0. Sometimes you actually are left with no money in the bank. And that's probably why these credit card balances are so high, is because there's nothing left for you guys left at the end of the month. Mrs. Wesley, does that sound about right? Yeah, it's right. We got kids, we dine out on the weekends. I don't like to cook, right? This is real stuff. So, okay, then that's probably why the credit cards are so high, why the credit bureaus are making these comments, why your FICO score is so low. Now, here's my idea, is that if I add up all your credit card debts or your payments that you're sending, plus your mortgage, that's about $3,500. My idea is I could take that total payment of $3,500 and bring it down to $2,800. I'll put $700 of cash flow, give you 1 month deferred so you could put it in the bank that you have $0 left, remove these comments from the credit bureaus, boost up your FICO score. Does that make sense? Now I'm getting into a point where, yeah, fuck yeah, I want that.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on that idea? What else are they going to say? Oh, sounds great. How do we do it? Okay, so what I noticed, I never even announced the rate. I've never announced the closing cost, right? You get them to buy in on the result first, as opposed to give them this illusion like, hey, I got good news for you. Everything looks great. Your FICO score is perfect, right? Because then he's going to think he has too much power. He can leave me. I don't want him to feel that way, because then I become a number to him. And he's not going to, there's no bond, there's no rapport. I'm never going to hear from this guy again, right? Like, hey, Daniel said my credit score is good. Let me see what these other banks think, right? And then the chances are we're never going to hear from him again.
Yeah, makes sense.
That makes sense?
Of course.
Okay. So think about that and try that. And I think the results will change in your favor. So do you have any questions on any of that?
No. It's all makes sense, and I've heard this before many times.
Oh yeah.
To apply, it's a skill. You have to be enthusiastic, optimistic, helping them all the time.
Here's the upside. If you can figure that part out, your income will dramatically increase.
Yes. Oh no, I am aware of it. Of course, that makes sense. You're helping them. Like you said.
Well, we signed up for it,
Talking about the rates, and you're just helping them from the other side and making them wanting to take that advice and move forward.
Okay. Yeah, it's a matter of, because at the end of the day, it's a shark's world out there, man. You know what I mean? We signed up to be part of a job that what holds our place is the results that we bring. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure that you are at least equipped with the right resources that will enable you to not only reap the reward of being, in a great call center, great company. You have unlimited resources here. Now it's just a matter of fine-tuning that, So you've had the script, and now that you know that it's there, please read it, okay? And consume some of the content that's on the channel. If you need any advice, like, hey, Daniel, do you have a video on selling closing costs? I'm sure I do, right? I've got over 400 videos on there. Just ask me, okay?
400, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, there's a lot. And a lot of loan officers all throughout the nation are winning using that information right now. And it's really helping them. So I hope that you can look at that as a resource.
Of course.
Okay? I appreciate you taking some time with me.
Oh, no, God.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're going to be good. All right?
Thank you.
I got you.